Ding away. Boom. Oh, he's not using the bell. He's not dinging. Come on, you got to hit that thing. I get the gavel, I guess so. All right, whatever. CAH listed. New York Stock Exchange is closed. We are open for business. Take a look at the numbers. Dow up, nice little move up. Again, very, very quiet last couple of days. I think everyone's waiting to see what happens with those China deals. And as Trump pointed out a little bit earlier today from the Oval Office, that Japan is also looking to fix the deal, maybe even Taiwan. Dow up a little bit, NASDAQ up a little bit. Here's the good news. Look at that gold number. $3,408, folks. How long have we been talking about this? It's approaching yet another new high. Gold is just resilient, and you like to see oil only down a couple of pennies. I will tell you, crypto backed off a little bit. Crypto is 107,000, just a touch, a little bit lower, but again, hangs in there. So you want gold up, you like crypto. I love the crypto. The Bitcoin price is just an amazing. It's so resilient. I'll give you the crypto numbers as we speak. Bitcoin 106,800, so it's right at 107,000. Ethereum, a lot of folks have Ethereum 2696, just down a touch as well. Solana, Dogecoin, XRP, all backed off just a tiny bit. Okay, had a great interview just moments ago with our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. And again, we had to do it a little bit early because she's got a very busy schedule, but we'll bring it to you. Here you go. All right, folks, all the buzz in Capitol Hill right now remains on President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. Senate Republicans, well, they've been meeting to iron out the key differences on spending cuts and other sticking points. President Trump continues to urge unity behind the big, beautiful bill. Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "The great big, beautiful bill will grow the economy like it has never grown before. At the same time, it is cutting expenses by $1.6 trillion. It puts our country on the right track, plus make America great again." Here now to assess is my first guest, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. Madam Secretary, so thrilled to have you here. You just what a beautiful sight that is with the White House behind you. You look terrific. Madam Secretary, you made some great points that this bill, yes, taxes and whatnot, but our farmers will be especially affected by, in a positive way, when this bill makes it through. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. And there is no more important topic in Washington today than the great, big, I think we just added great in the last True Social, but in the big, beautiful bill that is the priority of this president. It effectuates his vision of making America great again. We talked about bringing the deficit down. We talked about cutting taxes for all Americans, the new account for every baby born. But for our farmers and our ranchers, it is a massive deal. It protects 2 million family farms from the death tax. It increases farm income by $3.8 billion. It cuts taxes by $10 billion, again, just for our farmers and our ranchers. So this president understands that our ag community is the backbone of America, and they lived under some really dark times in the last administration, but times are changing, and this bill must pass to continue that momentum.
There's a really, really important point you make there. So the death tax, we're talking about the estate tax, and this bill helps the farmers out, because what folks may not understand is that most of the assets in a farm stays in the farm. They do make a living off the farm, but if someone dies and wants to pass it along to an heir and have to come up with this massive 50, sometimes up to 50% tax, well, they can't. They'd have to sell the farm, and that puts our food security at risk. So expand on that. I think people really need to understand how important that little ditty in the bill is.
Well, I think to your point, it couldn't be more important. And in my 118 days so far, I think I've been in 17 states, 2 foreign countries. But in my travels all around America, I've been meeting with probably almost 1,000 farmers and ranchers at this point, listening to them. And the number one most consistent issue is how they can continue to pass their farm, their agriculture way of life to the next generation. Many are third, fourth, fifth, and sixth generation. And the number one impediment to that is the inheritance, or as we call it, the death tax. This president understands that. He understands that rural America, that the ag communities, that farmers and ranchers, if we have any disruption in that continual pass down and the opening up the markets for new farmers, that America will be no more. And the side note on that, which I think you and I have talked about before, is just in the last few years, China has purchased 400,000 acres of our farmland across this country. Think about that. China now owns 400,000 acres of what used to be owned by our American farmers and ranchers. That is a national security threat, and they are just looking for more opportunity. So it is about protecting our farmers and ranchers. It's also about protecting the American way of life from adversaries that don't have the same values that we have.
We are so fortunate to have what we do have. We have two of our coasts, our water, that's fantastic, but we have such fertile land in America, and that's why our food prices are so reasonable.
Right.
In fact, we're a net exporter of food. Thank God for that. We need to protect that. Those are great portions. You said 118 days. I want to give you a chance to take a victory lap here, because the left keeps talking about, oh, prices are up. I'm going to call BS on that, Madam Secretary, because yesterday the numbers came out and food inflation was 2.9%. Average for the year for 2025 is 2.7%. You guys have been around 118 days. Let the folks understand this. In 2023, it was 5.8%, double what it is right now. In 2022, it was 9.9% for the year, triple what it is right now. So what are you guys doing that's bringing the prices of our food down for the American, for Main Street America?
For everyday Americans who are just trying to raise their family and make a good living. Listen, this president's vision, his policy works. We saw it in the first term. I was here in the West Wing with him in term one, running a lot of the policy lanes. Now as the Secretary of Agriculture, it isn't complicated, but it takes courage, it takes fearlessness, and it takes a relentless devotion to ensuring that freedom and liberty reign and govern the day. And what that means is less government, lower taxes, an effort to reshore all that we have lost, and especially under Joe Biden, but in the last many decades, bringing more jobs back to America. It means lowering the cost of our inputs, unleashing energy dominance. And when you have all of that as part of your policy package, the people that thrive the most are not in Washington, D.C. They're not in the government, but they are out in everyday Main Street America and in our communities. And that's what we're seeing. This president promised to secure the border. He promised to bring the price of groceries down. He promised to increase jobs. He promised to bring jobs back to America. And that is, in just such a short time, exactly what we're seeing. And I just couldn't be more thrilled and more grateful and more appreciative to be a part of this monumental save the country historical effort that President Trump is leading.
Secretary Rollins, how secure is our food supply, first of all, and frankly, how secure is our water supply as well?
Well, every day we have to never take our eye off the ball. In about a week, I'm going to be releasing a new agenda that's going to be focused on national security. I think that for a very, very long time, our agriculture community in and of itself deserves the utmost support, respect, elevation, amplification, whatever we can do to ensure that way of life is preserved. But now we're becoming more and more aware as a society that without food security, to your point, water security, et cetera, the safety, that we can't be a superpower for the world, the superpower, more than any country in the history of the world has ever been. So this remains of paramount importance. The cabinet is focused on it. The president innately understands it, and he's doing everything we can, and we will continue to secure future prosperity, freedom, and liberty. But that safety, that security is the foundation of all of it from my perspective.
And very quickly, the left wants to talk about egg prices. Let's talk about egg prices, shall we? I mean, look, they brought it up. They complained about it on Easter week. You guys have a 5-month low in egg prices. That goes back to before you were around. And I look back. I look back over the last few years. Egg prices have literally been cut in half since the middle of 2023.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, under Joe Biden, the egg prices went up 237%. The president has been very consistent in his message that when he got here on day one, pretty much the most and the biggest question was the price of eggs. What in the world? Like trying to blame President Trump, even though he'd only been here for one day. One of the very first conversations we had when I was voted on and confirmed, again, about 119 days ago, was, Brooke, we got to figure out how to bring the cost of eggs down. We released a 5-point plan back in February.
Remember.
Pretty complicated, so I won't get into it now, but the market has reacted. We have done everything we said we would do in a significant way, and as a result of that, the wholesale price of eggs are down 65% since we released that plan, but more than half than what we were at during Joe Biden, towards the end of Joe Biden, and the eggs, the prices keep dropping. So we're really glad about that.
And what folks need to understand, it's not eggs. It's not eggs. Everyone's just using eggs as a metaphor for food prices. And by the way, all your prices are coming down, and they're easing and taking a little bit of pressure off the middle-class American pocketbook. It's fantastic. Again, Secretary Rollinson's from the great state of Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Right. Don't mess with Texas. Before, I know we got to. Right. I know you got to go. I know you're being pulled. But very quickly, roll that quick soundbite from last night, the congressional baseball game. Listen carefully to the crowd chanting, "Brooke, Brooke, Brooke." Listen.
Delivering today's anchor call, please welcome the 33rd United States Secretary of Agriculture.
You gotta love that, Secretary. Your name being chanted. By the way, who won that game?
Oh. Well, the Republicans won that game, of course, and obviously they would have won no matter what. But I think having Tom the Clydesdale and perhaps maybe a little bit me walking in with the game ball may have had just a little bit to do with it. But it was an awesome night and just really, really special. Thank you for bringing that up. That was awesome.
Secretary, we love having you. Appreciate your time and appreciate what you're doing for the country. Thank you, Secretary Brooke Rollins. Thank you.
It's a joy. Thank you so much.
All right, folks, before I head to break, just want to remind you about my podcast and YouTube page, updated daily. You can watch that interview, watch the whole show anytime you want, other content as well. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, just subscribe on one of those. Any one of them, it's always free. Just got to hit subscribe on one of those. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. There you go, Santa Monica, pretty cool place. You know, honestly, Ben, you hear me? Do we like Gentle Ben or Ben, the other Ben, the rat? No, we like Gentle.
I think Gentle Ben. I think Rat Ben is a bit abrasive, yes. I'd say.
Yes. Benny and the Jets. Ben, right next to Santa Monica, there's a place called Manhattan Beach, California. I lived there for a little while. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, even though it's California. I digress. All right, folks, we here at Real America's Voice always try to bring you the most up-to-date information on the ground on the big stories impacting our lives. RAV correspondent Ben Bergquam has been consistently and constantly on the move with ICE, and he's bringing us major developments in their deportation efforts. Here's a little preview of what you can expect. Watch this.
Our officers are some of like the best and most highly trained that there are. We've seen just record amounts of arrests, and we expect it to continue. There's been an increase in, assaults on us. It makes it a little bit more, unsafe for everybody.
Sounds like a target vehicle might be on. It's a big day.
Let's go stage around the corner and wait for that person to come outside. Put your hands up.
You don't want to be recorded. Don't commit crimes. Don't come into our country illegally. It's the entitlement. That's all.
All right, well, let's bring in RAV correspondent and host of Law and Border, Ben Bergquam. Hey, Ben, so you're now in Chicago. As we know, is this part of this new Spreading protests from LA. Yesterday in LA, today Chicago. Tell us what's going on behind you.
We love you. We bless you, and we thank you for your grace.
Well, the
we
Push
thank you for your
Coalition,
mercy, but
Jesse
we thank you
Jackson's
for your
coalition, is actually
everlasting
praying right
salvation.
now. They're out
why we're here. We're on the battle.
President Trump and ICE.
As we're on this battlefield, God, we pray now that you will let us know and remind this world that our weapons are not carnal, but they are spiritual, and they're made for the pulling down of strongholds.
Jobs
so
for
we
the black
come
community.
this day.
But now they're out here standing for illegal aliens who take away jobs from the black community. But hold on that. Hold that thought in your mind for a second. That footage you just showed was Indianapolis this morning. We rode with them, and I just want to tell the audience, ICE is not slowing down. ICE is not backing down. They are not discouraged. If anything, the attacks against them are making their resolve even stronger. And what you saw this morning, wait till you see all of it. These guys are going after it, and when you look at the guys that ICE is picking up, and you think about who the Democrats are trying to protect, it's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
It really is. It's almost like they hate Trump so much, they're taking the other side of an issue that should be 80-20 at least, if not 90-10 or 100, really should be 100%. Let's get the illegals out of here, especially the criminal illegals. But they want to defend it because they just want to. If Trump said air is amazing and beautiful and golden, they'd say air sucks, you're wrong, everyone should boycott air. This is what they are. New York Congressman Dan Goldman compared ICE agents, get this, to secret police. Listen.
I will be introducing a bill that will prevent Homeland Security officers from hiding or concealing their identities and wearing masks, because we don't live in a country, an authoritarian country, where we have secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. That's the stuff of authoritarian states. That is not the stuff of that's not how the United States operate.
So, Ben, I've been on a couple ICE raids, as you have been on hundreds, whatever. And I will tell you, it's just like the CIA and the FBI. When they're on a mission overseas, their lives and their families' lives are at risk if their identity is exposed. So they hide it. And just like this, Trent Del Agua told our ICE agents that they have facial recognition, where all you have to do is snap a picture on an iPhone, and you can tell everything about that person, including where their family lives. What do you want to say to dumbass Dan Goldman?
Well, I was going to start with that, but you took it out of my mouth. This is the lunacy of this, Eric. They don't want them to wear masks, the guys that are protecting and serving and defending our sovereignty of our country and defending your communities. But they're just fine with Antifa and all of these scumbags that are out there burning down our country wearing masks. If any law should be passed, it should be you can't protest in America with a mask. Because we know the people that are wearing masks are the ones that are going to commit the crimes. And the guys on ICE that are covering their face, it's simply to protect themselves and their family from the evil, violent attacks that are coming from that guy and the other leftists that don't care about law enforcement, they don't care about the rule of law, they don't care about our country.
Yeah. So this is kind of interesting. Authorities have made their first detentions in the new border military zone. This is very interesting. The zone is roughly 260 miles of border in the New Mexico and Texas area. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently made them extensions of Army bases, and that allows them to detain illegal aliens and civilian trespassers. What do you make of these new military zones? Will they be helpful?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Using that Roosevelt strip, it's a 60-foot strip along the border that is controlled by the federal government. Look, this just shows how ingenious President Trump and his team are, that they would find a solution like this to be able to take that little strip of land and say, we're turning that into a military base. And it undoes the rules of engagement for our Army and our military that wouldn't let them do civilian-level tasks in that sector, but now because it's a military base, they can deport people immediately. It is absolutely ingenious.
Yeah. It's great. You know, they don't have to put the military on the border. They can just extend the military bases to the border. It's brilliant. It's the thinking, man. They are just thinking. Ben, do me a favor, brother. You stay safe. We're so fortunate to have you willing to travel around the country and put yourself in harm's way so the folks see what's really going on. Thank you, and thank your family from us.
Thank you, Eric. Stay tuned to tomorrow morning. It's going to be epic. I can't say where I'm going or what I'm doing. I'm just telling you it's going to be epic.
This is called the deep tease. You're deep teasing us here. Going to be epic tomorrow. All right, we will do that. Ben
Deep,
Burkhardt.
baby. Deep, baby.
We'll be with you again, Ben. Stay safe. There you go, Ben. Look, no snow in Nashville, Ben.
Yeah, it's looking like clear skies today.
That's Broadway, by the way. Great street. We always talk about that. Wonderful place to go. If you've never been to Nash Vegas, you should check it out sometime. Just a fun town. All right. Once upon a time, Democrats were on board with keeping illegal immigration invaders under control. No, really. I know it's hard to believe that a Democrat containing an iota of rational common sense, well, it actually did exist at one point.
I think we should have strong border security. It doesn't make sense for us to allow hundreds of thousands of people coming through our borders without us knowing who they are. Oftentimes in very hazardous situations and unmonitored situations that could do us long-term damage.
How racist of him to say that, right? But now that kind of thinking is some sort of a travesty. And why? Well, Trump derangement syndrome certainly clouds all common sense and love for this country. But also, as always, with a dirty, swampy Democrat culture, you got to follow the money. So let's dive in. Let's just do some of that. Let's do some of the math, in fact, here. I love numbers. I'm a numbers guy. So let's just take a look at some of the deportation numbers of the past few presidents, shall we? President Trump's first term, 1.5 million deportations. Oh, President Obama, 5.2 million. Bush, 10.3 million. Clinton, 12.12 million deportations. Why weren't they protesting Bill Clinton? Trump may never break Obama's deportation record, but it's an excellent goal. And Michelle keeps, seem to be forgetting just how good Obama's record really was.
I worry for people of color all over this country. And I don't know that we will have the advocates to protect everybody. And that frightens me. It keeps me up at night.
That's what keeps you up at night, Michelle? Interesting. It's crazy that she sits in that chair and forgets 8 years of her own husband's policy. How was her sleep then when Barack Obama deported more than 5 million folks?
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous.
Oh, my God, Obama, what a fascist. We should protest in L.A. Oh, wait, he's not president anymore. By the way, it also didn't seem to bother anyone when Obama deployed the National Guard to defend the southern border. Oh, geez, do we have an internet around here? Oh, yeah, way back in 2010.
President Obama is sending 1,200 National Guard troops to boost security along the U.S.-Mexican border. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Chip Reed has the details. Good morning, Chip.
Well, good morning, Betty. In addition to the troops, the president is also requesting $500 million for border security. But some border state politicians are already saying more help is needed.
Obama, what a fascist. Business as usual, huh? Well, here's Bill Clinton.
In every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before.
Ben, did he say illegal aliens? Ben, did he say illegal? I think he did, didn't he?
He may have said illegal aliens.
I think he said illegal aliens. How racist, Bill, and how even tyrannical of you to deport all these 12.2 million people. Except it's not. Dare I say, it's actually not racist. It's presidential. So why does it matter so much when President Trump does it? No issue with Barack Obama carrying out any of these things. So why is it now suddenly deemed tyrannical? Now they're surprised. They're disgusted. It takes a former Democrat governor of California to point out what's painfully obvious.
People just get excited and they get so much anger because it's Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump in his first term deported 1.5 million people. So far, he has deported 160,000 people since he became president again. Barack Obama deported 5.3 million people.
Yeah,
in
I mean,
8
I totally take your point.
But it's because
but
it's Donald J. Trump. If it was Barack Obama, it's okay.
No, Abby Phillips, let the former lieutenant governor say exactly what you know is true. It's terrible when Trump deports 1 million, but it's quite okay if Barack Obama deports 5 million and Bill Clinton 12.2 million. But it doesn't matter. Very different party now. To be clear, they've always been self-righteous, socialist, loving, leaning cowards. And also, to be fair, they were met with most centrist people who were willing to reach across the aisle and abandon their own party. But that was way back in 2015. Even the most socialist of the old Democrat guard, Bernie Sanders, painstakingly explained how immigration, how we're taking low-skilled and undocumented, illegals, how them coming to America, this country, negatively affects American jobs. And remember, 2015, 10 years ago, Bernie Sanders said this.
When you have 36% of Hispanic kids in this country who can't find jobs, and you bring a lot of unskilled workers into this country, what do you think happens to that 36% of kids who are today unemployed? 51% of African-American kids.
Where's the outcry? Where's the looting? Why aren't they breaking into Apple stores? Also, Bernie Sanders, 2015, immigration makes America what? What we've been saying.
Open borders.
Foreign aid. Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The idea, of course, I mean, that's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Millionaires and billionaires. So Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the man who let 12 million illegals in, the man who oversaw the full-scale invasion of our country through the southern border back in 2007. Biden was asked if he were president, would he allow sanctuary cities to even exist?
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing law.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
Okay.
What happened to these people, to this party? Why the change? Why has the leftist machine become so viscerally against both stopping illegal immigration or deporting those who are here illegally, in the country illegally? Well, first, they need the votes. They realize they're losing their base. They need the votes. It's tit for tat, really. Come and stay, we'll help you. And then, of course, we got your vote, right? Second, we all know that if President Trump does something, even if it was done by presidents before him, even if Barack Obama did it 4 times as much and Bill Clinton did it 10 times as much, the very same thing, well, they're just against it. It's just fine if Barry does it, but if the Don does it, it's an act of a dictator, and he must be taken down. But here's what all of this, it all falls under one thing, the larger, wider, more important umbrella, covering it all, the red thread, so to speak. Let's call it the green thread, money. We're always saying it here. It's not the people you see, it's the people you don't see. Follow the money, the mayhem you see, the chaos, that's distraction, that's fodder for all of us. The images, the fires, the smoke, the clashes with the police. But what if you tear the country apart? That's what they really want to do. People want peace, you see. So make the riots bigger, all-encompassing, finance them, send in gas masks, finance George Soros's groups. These dark money groups can fund these people, hire them for a lot of money, $30 an hour sometimes. They have no skin in that game other than they're employees, they're actors. These riots, these protests throughout the country, make no mistake about it, they're paid for and brought to you by the most dangerous, corrupt leftist organizations on the planet. Follow the money, the Trump hatred, building up a new voter base to replace the old one, ripping apart America by the seams. They're all part of a singular agenda created by the types of people who stand to benefit from those things the most. And every minion who helps the cause fills their coffers to do so, but they're just the willing puppets. Useful idiots, if you will. Barack, Nancy, Chuck, Hakeem, Joe, Bernie. Just soldiers, well-paid soldiers, mind you, but soldiers. Think of it like this. It's a mafia organization. The image you see, the faces, they're not the ones you're after or should be after, Kamala Harris, that major bullet we dodged as a country, has always been about carrying out the globalist replacement program. Well, here she is way back, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, as California Attorney General after her state was sued by the Trump administration for refusing to enforce immigration laws.
I think that these folks are really mired in rolling back the clock in time, and that's not going to happen. California represents the future, and they don't like it, but there you go.
You think it's just some coincidence that Joe Biden appointed Kamala Harris as a so-called border czar. California represents the future. It sure does. It sure did. It represents the future they want. Democrats don't perceive us or receive us as understanding the whole thing. We just want to remove illegal invaders from the country. They view us as eliminating their census figures and their congressional seats because we're removing their future votes. These people are willing to let their cities burn to protect people who are in the country illegally. It's not just that Democrats are bad people, evil people. Follow the money. The upcoming anti-Trump No Kings protests, the ones set to counter President Trump's June 14th festivities, those protests are organized by a group called Indivisible, a communist group. And who has donated millions to this organization? Do I even have to say his name? George Soros. It's right there on paper, folks. You know who else has been the happy beneficiary of Soros bucks? Global soldier, California Governor Gavin Newsom. Follow the money. As you know, President Trump was, is, and will continue to be the biggest thorn in their side. That's what funded the lawfare against him. That's what funds the judges who stand in the way of Trump's immigration policies. President Trump doesn't need the likes of Soros to fill his coffers, which makes him even more dangerous to the left. They weren't protests. There weren't any protests when Obama deported 5 million. Why? Because follow the money. Just follow the money. Everything we see all over the country, the media, the cover-up, the lawfare. Follow the money. We'll be back 2.5 minutes. There you go. Edmond, Ben. I know. Where the heck is Edmond, Oklahoma? Nice job. Nice find.
I could not tell you, but it looks pretty cozy.
It looks cozy. Looks cozy. You know what? Today, a trio of, I would call them some of the worst governors in America. Governors with sanctuary cities as in their state sat in the hot seat. Tim Walz, Minnesota, Kathy Hochul, New York, and J.B. Pritzker, Illinois, you know, the who's who of the country's worst leaders of all time, all sat in front of the House Oversight Committee for a grilling. It took just minutes into it for the left's favorite N-word to be thrown into the mix.
I'm proud of my Democratic colleagues who are willing to stand up to this thuggery. Trump is a wannabe gangster, and he's showing the world what he's about. And I'm proud. You know, my dad served in the Second World War. He fought the Nazis in Northern Africa. He fought the Nazis on the Italian peninsula. And I think he's looking down right now and he's happy that I'm fighting today's Nazis.
Really, not Nazis? You're still doing this? You're still Trump's a Nazi and MAGA's Nazi soldiers. Unbelievable. Ridiculous. Well, what do you know? The Seattle Police Department refusing to cooperate with ICE. I think that's called, I don't know how you say, treason.
Let me be clear. The Seattle Police Department does not engage in immigration enforcement activities. We do not inquire into or collect information about an individual's immigration or citizenship status unless it is directly connected to a state or local criminal investigation.
You want to hold back? Just wait till your city and your states need some federal help. Just wait, just wait, just wait. To a Democrat who's messing everything up with their policies, it's never their own fault. Never mind that Los Angeles has basically begged criminals to steal thanks to their lax theft policies. LA Mayor Karen Bass says the looting of a Nike store and an Apple store are what Trump's fault. Watch.
That is the cause of the problems that have happened in the city of Los Angeles and other cities. This was provoked by the White House. The reason why, we don't know.
So the city that burns time and time again, it's Trump's fault. Wow. Things got a little awkward at a House Ways and Means Committee hearing yesterday when California Congresswoman Linda Sanchez proved to be one of the few Democrats who actually knows what a woman is.
In fact, we've already seen that prices are rising on many everyday goods.
Congresswoman,
please don't interrupt me. The time is mine. The time is mine. Please don't interrupt me. I will ask you questions and I will grant you an opportunity to answer them, but please don't interrupt me during my time.
With pleasure.
Okay, I know I'm a woman, but please try to limit yourself to answering my questions. No, I'm sorry, but we get talked over all the time, and I don't want that to happen at this hearing.
So Congresswoman Linda Sanchez lies and said prices are going up. They're not. Yesterday and today, we saw two different price indicators, inflation indicators coming down, lower than expected, way lower than under the Biden era. So she throws it out there, and the Trump administration representative there, I think it was Besant, says, hold on. And she stops him in his tracks and then says, so he blames the woman card. She plays the female, the gender card again. These liberals, they have absolutely no sanity left at all. You're going to lie? You should let someone call you out on it, especially when he's supposed to be the expert guest witness. MSDNC's Nicole Wallace, well, she's never been shy about expressing her Trump derangement syndrome. Mind you, this woman used to work for George Bush. She was a Bushy. Now some sort of liberal progressive on MSNBC. Well, she took some of those symptoms over to Stephen Colbert's show, always happy to roll out the blue carpet for these leftist machine bots.
It feels different. It feels different to, can we swear here?
Sure.
Around with the military. It feels really different. And he wanted to the first time, but people like Mark Milley and people stopped him. And it feels really different to use the military as pawns out loud and as a public tactic. That feels different to me.
My dear Nicole, lay off the Ozempic, my dear. Oh, well, and here's Nicole Wallace also having an absolute and total meltdown over posters asking Americans to assist ICE with deportations.
Your taxes are paying for this ad being disseminated on Elon Musk's platform X that says, quote, help your country and yourself, report all foreign invaders. General, did Vladimir Putin write that?
He might very well have. I'll tell you one foreign invader we could deal with is Elon Musk.
All right, we got time for two more, Ben. Two more quick ones. Ready?
Copy.
All right, race-baiting Chicago Mayor, let's go Brandon Johnson, wants everyone to know why his approval rating is cratering. Pathetic 12% approval rating for this guy. It's not just the crime he lets happen in Chicago, the protests he allows to block highways, or his racist governing policy. It's also because he says crap like this.
They are absolutely terrified. And that's, look, I remember a few stand-ups ago when I talked about what terrorism looks like. This is it. There should be no question to what our country would look like had the Confederacy won. We're seeing it on full display.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, 12% approval rating. Who'd have thunk? This idiot, Eric Swalwell, has been on a mission to embarrass himself, doing interviews with anyone who will listen and making countless cringy videos. Come to think of it, seems like maybe someone is trying to give Gavin Newsom a run for his Soros money. Here he is defending his fellow comrade who broke the law.
Hey, Congressman.
What's going on?
What the is up with Rep. McIver being indicted?
You know what, that's some She was at an ICE facility, which is her right as a member of Congress. It's in the law that she can inspect an ICE facility. And what they do, this is what Donald Trump wanted. They drew the foul, they escalated the situation, and you know what? Here's my prediction. She is going to either have the case dismissed or be acquitted, but this tracks with a president who goes after his political enemies.
I don't know. Maybe she gets censored. Who knows, Eric Swalwell? Where's Fang Fang, the Chinese spy that you slept with? More bowling 2.5 minutes away. All right, Ben, I know this is Pierce, right? This is our producer. Do you have a control room cam? Yeah, that's still. You have the big one from the back? There it is. Well, there's Ben right there up front. There's I can see that. There's MD and the guys. Pierce, where's your hand? Raise your hand. There he is. Detroit City. All right, folks. I wanted to remind you about my podcast and YouTube page, updated daily. You can hear the show anytime. Just go and just subscribe. Just hit one of those places right there, subscribe. It's always going to be free. Okay, this happened today. This was amazing. DHS Secretary Noem was doing a press conference. And, well, let's roll the first soundbite. This is, by the way, before you roll it very quickly, this is California State Senator Alex Padilla getting removed. Watch.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
I also want to
heads off.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted.
Well, how about that? How about that? Wait, so, did I misspeak? I said California State U.S. Senator Alex Padilla. But guess what happened? Moments after that, you want to mess with Kristi Noem, you want to mess with Tom Homan, you want to play games, Senator Padilla, this happens.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you don't my hands, go ahead, stand behind my back.
All right, cool. One hand, lay flat, lay flat. Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording allowed out here. I did not know. There's no recording allowed out here for FBI rights.
You want to play games? You want to play? It doesn't matter, senator or not. You want to resist arrest? You're going to get cuffed, booked, printed. You probably get off because you guys get off of everything. But no, what's your name? You can't go and show up at an ICE facility and break in and not get arrested. And no, Alex Padilla, you can't disrupt Kristi Noem's press conference. You just can't do it in America right now. Sorry. You don't like it, go somewhere else. In case we hadn't seen enough of the delusions that come with Trump derangement syndrome, here's the master of inciting riots herself, old Maxine Waters, that walking case for term limits, who has a theory about the riots since, well, she kind of helped incite one in her own state.
The local police, he should talk to the people that he's had deployed there. And he has a responsibility in all of this. He started this. There should be no violence. He should not continue to support violence. They should not be edged on and, provoked.
Maxine Waters, she's having, she just got her face slammed. You're trying to get into another ICE facility. All right, folks, finally, if you want to see some of the pinnacle lack of self-awareness, well, just watch the soundbite. It's good.
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Moran, and for almost 28 years, I was a reporter and anchor for ABC News. And as you may have heard, I'm not there anymore. I'm here with you on Substack, this amazing space, and I can't wait to get at it, to get at the important work that we all have to do in this time of such trouble for our country.
Well, that was Terry Moran, formerly of ABC News, who had to have his day on X on Twitter, and he trashed Trump and he trashed Stephen Miller on X, and ABC first suspended him, and then they bounced him out the door. So now he's doing stuff on that wonderful platform, Substack, whatever the heck that is. Again, the broadcast networks are getting slammed in the ratings because they realize that most of America agrees with what President Trump is doing. They can't figure this out. Most of America, it's like 65% agree with him deporting the illegals, all of them, not just the violent ones. All of them would come over illegally. So their numbers are coming down. All right, folks, say again, Ben, what? We have the Trumps on Monday, right? Both Trumps, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, Monday. You're going to not want to miss that. I'm going to New York to do those things. All right, folks. Well, War Room's up next. Tell Bannon, get back to these tosses. We want to keep doing the tosses. You let them know on the Rumble and the Gitter chat. See you tomorrow.